And would you look what it is? Chapter 9 of Celeste, the hardest level in the game by far. That's right. It's time for the moon. The beginning isn't anything too difficult, just a couple quick jumps, some electricity to dodge. This is the first puzzle, and it is of course the easiest one you're going to see for the rest of this map. These guys' job is simply to launch me forward, so I do need to be careful of the spikes. This screen is simple. Hit the coin and get back to the top. Easy? Or maybe not. So these are actually called touch switches, but I'm just going to refer to them as coins. I couldn't figure out how to get out, but eventually I figured out the very simple solution, and I then moved on to the next screen. And I blasted right past it without an issue, not missing even one of these jumps. Now this next screen features a couple of precise jumps, which I may have failed once, or twice, but not 4 times. Some fun times with the jellyfish was next, which was so easy that it felt more like a tutorial on how to actually use them. We followed the bird up to the next screen, where I then proceeded to miss this jump a couple of times. I then got stuck on this screen with multiple locked doors. The first step was to open this gate and unlock myself a second dash. Step 2, that was to find this jellyfish, and then use it to unlock a different jellyfish. After that, I was finally able to get rid of all this electricity. I collected the first key with little difficulty, and moved on to the second key, which was much harder. This relies on using the jellyfish to gain height while keeping pace with both of the moving platforms. I nearly messed it up, but I managed to grab the key. The third key was within reach, and I reached it without issue. And after grabbing the final 2 keys, which were not difficult, I ascended through the spikes and stars to the next area. Now there's nothing too difficult here. The fish are able to collect coins, so all I really need to do is survive. I managed to make it through the next screen as well, and then I had to contend with falling spike platforms. All I need to do though is hit the trampoline and avoid the spikes. The next screen was a bit more complex. I have to hit all of these buttons to open the gates, while keeping myself safe and away from the spikes. Of course, this was no struggle for me, and I quickly moved on to collecting these coins, barely didn't kill myself at the very last second, and escaped. And now comes the most difficult screen yet, which isn't saying much. I need to get the jellyfish on top of the moving block while I fly around below without dying. Now I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to actually grab this extra dash, however, I don't play by the rules, so I simply ignored it. And with that, we've reached the end of the level, and we've made it to the Crystal Heart. It was really just that easy. I don't know what they were talking about when they said this level was hard. No. As you can probably guess by how much time is left on this video, this is not actually the end. We have to keep chasing after this bird, which we brought into this hellscape, and even with the map falling apart, we are going to get that bird out of here. Now to enter the second half of this level, you need to have collected 15 Crystal Hearts, which I don't feel like doing. However, you can skip past this gate with a well-timed dash. Give me a few tries to prep, mentally prepare, and then boom, you can just dash under the wall as it crashes down and skip this entire requirement. And now, it's time for the difficulty to begin. So this game has to teach us 2 new tricks in order to continue, both of which I've already used earlier in this video or in my last Celeste video. I'll put a code in the corner if you want to watch that one. The first is a ground dash that both propels you forward and resets your dash. Very useful. The second, which as you can see I'm much worse at doing, requires you to dash up a wall, jump off it at the same time, and it'll give you a big boost to your height. And now it's time to show them together. There we go. And those are the only 2 tricks we're going to need for the rest of the run. And right away, I'm forced to try out both of them before taking a ride on this moving block, so I had to avoid getting crushed, grab the extra dash, grab the coin, avoid killing myself, miss my dash, kill myself, do it all again, and it's just that easy. And now I've been hit with the dreaded low battery warning. So we'll see how long my Pro Controller lasts for before it dies. But that's fine, because we breezed through the next level and then proceeded to crush the following screen. Now this screen was a fun one. I have to make a couple of dashes through these dream blocks, grab the coin, and then dash through a couple more. Simple, easy, done. I don't know what this was. Rewatching the footage, I really felt like I just had a stroke for some reason. Let me show you how you're actually supposed to do this. It's precise, it's a little bit difficult, but it's nothing that I couldn't handle. And this brings us to the cloud screen. All you have to do is get around this cloud. So we'll just slide by and move on to the next screen. This one is a long one. Ignore that. First, you gotta get the dash. Then, you have to grab the feather. Dying here is optional. I chose to, but you do as you wish. After that, you fly down and land on this platform. If you're a coward, you can look through the lens and see what's coming. Since I'm not, I'm just gonna go for it. Dash over, swap to the next platform, avoid the spikes, follow it down. You need to follow it down fast enough to jump off it again, like so. Try not to miss the feathers because you have to follow the bird. And I meant to dash into the feather, however, I accidentally dashed right after collecting the feather. And that means we get to go back to the start of the level again, so that's fun. I was a little bit more careful this time, and we made it past without any more trouble, and the next couple jumps, really, they're impossible to die on. So, moving on, we've got to get around this giant spike trap. As you can see, the Pro Controller still hasn't died yet. Now, the difficulty here is just the end. You can't make this jump, and I was having trouble understanding why. You're all pretty smart, so I'm sure you already understand what I'm doing wrong. And you're right, of course, I just need to boost off of this platform in order to make it up. And with that, we're moving on. The controller finally died. And while I go find my charger, here's your chance to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. It'd mean a lot. It's free, it's easy, it's fast. Thank you. Anyway, I think this is our first screen so far with wind. So that's cool. The only issue on the screen is the ground dash at the end, but I hit it, so we're all good. And take a look at this. Pretty cool, right? Now we need to avoid these stars as we dive to the bottom of the screen. I will skip most of these deaths because this screen is not nearly as hard as I'm going to make it out to seem. The next screen is all about timing. If I go too fast, I can't get the extra dash, and I die. This screen was very fun. We have to collect a few coins while jumping and avoiding these ice balls. The bottom ones replenish, and the top ones don't, so I need to be careful with my use of Ice Ball Capital. This seems simple. And it is, but it took me over 20 minutes to complete. At the top are some fireballs to avoid, and once you get all the coins, the walls drop, and you can escape. After the next screen, you get trapped. There's simply no way to progress. What can we do? There is a hidden path for you to find. Now, it's not in the room itself, it's not up top, and the bottom is blocked off by spikes, which leaves only one spot. We need this block to destroy these rocks, preferably without killing us as well. And with that done, we now have to fight against the wind and avoid these stars. Midway through, the wind shifts, and it starts pushing you, before switching again and pulling you back. After this, you get to some trampolines before finding an orb from our other self, propelling us upwards. Now we have to jump on these colored blocks, which is similar to how you get the cassettes for the B-sides, only a little bit more difficult. This is all about timing. If you're behind, you die. If you're ahead, you die. If you time it right, then you win. Nothing to worry about here, just need to avoid the spikes and grab all the coins. I almost got it that time, and I got it this time. You can probably guess what to do here. But I missed my dash, and then I went too late, and then I went too early, and then I missed the dash again. But the 5th time's the charm, and I was able to reach the bird. And then we finally decided to do the right thing, and help the bird escape from this nightmare that we forced him into. So now, if we hit the fuse boxes, we turn off the electricity, you've seen it before, you get the gist of what we're doing. And our other self is also helping us once again. So we can get around this electricity and help move the bird on to the next area. I had trouble on the next screen because I just couldn't get enough height with the jellyfish, but after a few tries, I realized that I could grab it straight from the orb and glided myself to the end. Or I would have if I wasn't an idiot. But now that I knew what to do, it was easy to get back, so yeah, nothing to worry about. Next, we had to sneak through these walls of electricity, but once again, the most difficult part seemed to just be not killing myself on the fuse box, which you think would be the easiest part. I missed my dash into this jellyfish and killed myself, but after that, I reached the feather and flew to my death, before escaping right after. After a few risky jumps, I honestly deserved to get hit by the electricity here. I destroyed the box and moved on to this level filled with skyfish. Of course, you're supposed to fly through them and avoid them, but I took a different approach because I'm anything but ordinary, anything but orthodox. The difficulty here is that the orb throws us past the sky block, so if I mistime the dash, I die. But I'm pretty good at this game. I think? I don't know, maybe not. You get to decide that. I really don't feel like I'm learning my lesson here, so maybe I'm not quite as good as I thought. You guys don't need to see all the failures, so here you go. I finally managed to do it correctly, and I moved on. Well, I decided to slowly descend to my death, despite still having my dash. I didn't even need to grab this orb, so luckily it moved on its own instead. After sending the fish over, I got nervous and I didn't want to commit, so I had to reset and do it properly this time. And this brings us to a spot that I was stuck in for a while. All I need to do is get to the other side of this moving block, but I just kept landing on the wrong side. I finally got it, and then I missed my next jump. Barely survived the landing, and I just stood there scared, trying to figure out what to do because I didn't want to go back to the start again. And then I did this for some reason, which I feel like we should just ignore. I then apparently forgot how to land for some reason, dying 4 times before finally making it over this section. Now, there is an easy way to break this box. If I move the orb to the other side first, then it's easy. And I'll warn you that at no point did I do this. I finally broke it, but I still did it wrong for some reason. I really don't know what I was thinking, and I can't peer into my own mind to understand my thought process at the time. The next section had some moving blocks with trampolines, as well as an orb, which decided to fly away as soon as I tried to grab it for some reason. So, I tried again, and it worked fine this time. Then I missed a trampoline, then I trampolined into the electricity, then I bounced into the electricity, before breaking the box and moving on. The next screen was just a reminder of how the ground dash works. If you miss it one time, you die. Since you need both the distance and the second dash to survive, there's really no counterplay. Right at the end, I misinput and flew over the block that I wanted to dash on. Then I got baited by the bird because I thought he was going to put me right at the end, so I wasn't ready for this. But moving on, when the game gives you a feather, fly. And right after, dash. Through tiny holes in the wall of electricity. That's a slogan that I came up with that you're never going to hear again in your life. And with the wind at my back, I reached the end without too much trouble. After almost beating the next screen first try, here are my next few deaths, including me beating the level, and then dying because I forgot to jump. I did not make that mistake again, I can promise you that. And this brings us to the penultimate screen, which for those of you who don't know what that means, it's the second to last screen. Once the block starts moving, I have to keep up with it before it reaches the electricity. I made it, but I forgot to duck before making it on my next try. And what comes after the penultimate screen? The final screen, where I proceeded to spend nearly an hour of time before I could beat it. This area is massive. It starts with flying past these fish, keeping the jellyfish alive by avoiding the white areas. There are many, many ways to die here. The easiest is to lose the jellyfish. You can also mistime a jump, or miss this trampoline block, or miss this other trampoline block. Of course, you can also hit any of the electricity around the map, that'll also do it. But once you get past the first part, you go up, past these electric blobs, through the stars, then past these doors of fish, where you will of course die upon hitting any of them. You can also die by hitting the stars, obviously. Now if you make it past, don't do what I did, and let go of the jellyfish. That's wrong, and it will leave you trapped, meaning that you have to kill yourself to reset. You actually want to float up here and hit this coin with the jellyfish. Make sure to go high enough, or the jellyfish will miss, and you have to kill yourself, again. This sends you down to the next part of the level, where you need to be careful to avoid bouncing off the fish. Instead, you want to get pushed over to the feather, and head down to these trampolines which will move you onto a series of jellyfish dashes. I kept failing on the same exact jellyfish over and over again, before I finally made it to the fuse box. After that, the bird threw me to the orb, which threw me to the bird, which threw me back to the orb, which threw me back to the bird, which then threw me back to the orb again, which then launched me into a feather. I didn't realize that I had my control stick angled, and I immediately flew right into the spikes, killing myself at the very end of the level. After dying at the trampoline a few times, it was back to the jellyfish, and this time I was more careful, and once I got up to the feather, I piloted myself straight up to the final orb, which launched me out of the level and into the cutscene that you don't need to worry about. And that's it. That was the moon. The hardest level in Celeste, completed with only 1781 deaths. The same year that the Battle of Yorktown was fought, fun fact. And it only took 5 hours and 42 minutes, with nearly a sixth of that being the final screen alone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I had fun making this. Let me know what you want to see me do next, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.